Previously on Destiny. Guardians, what lines can be drawn between light and dark? Is there immortal nature, or how each is wielded? The universe of Destiny has been etched in one word for a very long time: paracausal. That is to transcend beyond the physical into the supernatural. An area of study I believe many warlocks, hunter and titan have tried to piece together in this race to the finish line. Welcome back, Guardians. My name is Samlab, and together we will unravel the mysteries between the shard of the Traveler and the hall attached to the Drifter's ship, the Derelict. Since the Red War campaign, many a Guardian have wondered whether the Shard of the Traveler will have any major significance moving forward into the final shape. When Gaul took the light, Guardians had no way to defend themselves, and humanity was on the verge of collapse. But it was just then that the Guardian's ghost heard a gentle whisper of the Traveler, beckoning them to the broken Shard of the Traveler. Have a look at this clip from the Red War campaign.
This is why we were led here. I haven't been as close to the Traveler's Light since... Do you feel it? Hold on to your helmet. Do you feel it? The light is back. We're back. Eyes up, Guardian.
Despite being twisted and distorted, good was still found within the broken piece of the Traveler, thought to be claimed by darkness itself. But instead, we discover that this piece is in fact capable of doing what the Traveler does. And how is it connected to the final piece? Have a listen to this lore entry titled First Temperament. It says, Crow drops a wet canteen at Eris Morn's feet.
Water?
You made your return quickly. Eris crouches, hunched over bundled splits of pine arranged atop a thick log and resin-rubbed moss. She strikes a well-worn flint with her knife, and flame ignites.
You're not hard to spot at night.
Crow averts his gaze from Eris' sideways glare, and looks up to the haunting glow of the dark shard of the Traveler. Shivers convulse down his vertebrae, and his eyes drop to the freshly popping wood. Eris breaks the silence. Why do you volunteer for the severance operation? For most operations?
To make a difference where others can't. Same as you.
She shakes her head. No, Eris mumbles. Crow watches her deftly coax the fire. Considering the answer he'd given, he looks up to the distant tree line and changes the subject.
There's still a good number of hive here.
But no nightmares, Eris remarks.
Is that why you brought me here? This isn't a place I want to revisit.
Crow steps back from the growing flames. When Eris doesn't respond, he asks his real question.
Why did I fail?
You didn't fail. Our strategy was flawed. Eris stands, stowing flint and blade, then steps in front of him to meet his gaze. We will attempt the severance again soon.
Yeah.
Crow replies in a clipped tone. Eris tilts her head, and he can see the green orbs narrow beneath her blindfold. She points to the ragged mountain shard, twisting in the twilight royal. Even that toxic piece, separate from the traveler's purity, can be wielded for good. The fire roars. He kneels to break her stare and warms his hands.
I know what it can do. I used it.
When the Red War left guardians like this, there were some who reclaimed their calling here. They reforged their bond to the traveler through a scar, a lingering trauma, she continues. Eris sits beside Crow and drinks from her canteen. Crow braces for her to continue, but she does not. The bundle of burning kindling collapses into a heap of cinders. Flames spit between the gaps and ash drifts on heated air.
I'll get more wood,
Crow says, hastening to step out of the fire's glow. Crow, small fires like this kept me alive in the Hellmouth. I did not have the luxury of more wood. Eris grips a piece of rusty rebar taken from the sludge and thrusts it into the sputtering fire. She stirs the cindering wood, opening new gaps and concentrating the larger pieces over a pile of glowing kindling. The flame surges, and heat intensifies. During these long nights, we must make use of what is available to us. She knows he understands her, but hasn't accepted the lesson. She hands him the bar, shows him how to maintain the fire's heat, how to find worth in remnants, how to rebuild from ash. The pair converse as they take turns keeping the fire alive long into the night. The warmth soothes, their shoulders lighten, and Crow pulls back his hood. When the fire finally dies, Eris gestures to the embers. Now you can fetch some wood. Crow smiles and gets to his feet.
Eris, did you ever try to get your light back?
The past is not for dwelling. Crow nods and sticks out his hands. She looks at it inquisitively.
Come on.
Eris stands next to Crow. He clasps her palm and ignites a golden gun between their hands. Solar flame dances across Eris's fingers. Crow guides her arm and lifts the gun to the sky. He inhales sharply and howls before cracking a shot through the clouds.
You're up, Hunter.
Eris depresses the trigger, slowly, doubtful that it would fire. A second solar streak pierces the atmosphere. Crow laughs. They send round after round skyward, howling pent tension into the night, until finally, even Eris finds herself smiling. I love this lore entry, because here we see two guardians standing side by side. This moment in lore draws a direct parallel to Cayde and Ikora in the recent Final Shape teaser. Just as they are sat around a fire, so too were Eris and Crow, sat around a fire looking up at the shard of the Traveler. It isn't whether the Hall and the shard are of the same origin, but rather how are they similar. The Drifter says, Ikora's sneaky buddies call it an engine of pure potential. The Hall has the ontological power to create anything. So far, the assumption is that the Hall itself provides access to the Nine Realm, and within this space the Drifter is able to conjure just about anything he can think of, like counterfeit Taken Primeval, one of the most dangerous kind of Taken, found only in the Ascendant Plane. It isn't a secret that the Nine have been researching and looking for a way to break free of the Sol system before the end. Have a listen to this extract from the Book of Dust titled The Witch. It says, "But difficult is not impossible, and there is far, far more dark matter in the universe than bright. They will find a way to make new worlds of it. They will end their dependence on life and on the light of guardians, which the falling veil will soon snuff out forever." This one paragraph could almost be seen as a type of prediction, a telling of an end destined to arrive. The veil had been found and hidden away by Savathûn, long before the Witness or humanity had discovered it. But it still stands to reason that both the light of the Traveler and the Hall are capable of equally impossible possibilities, and also that all ends are simply a beginning or a rebirth of the cycle. To make new worlds of it suggests that the Nine will and have found a way to use the power of the Hall to escape. What would the future of Destiny look like? I think this is a question we would all like to answer, and the Bungie showcase on the 22nd of August, I hope, will begin to give us a glimpse as to what that could be. However, I have my own suspicions as to what life after the conclusion of the Light and Dark saga could look like. Have a listen to this armament lore entry from the Scattered Gauntlets. This is what it says. Spider leans forward in his throne, surveying the crates Arha has brought before him.
"What have we caught in my web?"
The Hall. It turns out it's almost entirely composed of Golden Age astronomy equipment. Deep space scanners, detailed maps of arcologies, comets, space stations within the system, even a few outside it.
Arha has only ever heard of a few of these places, and he grew up devouring the tales of his ancestors' journeys after the whirlwind. This hall is priceless. Spider is uninterested.
"I suppose I can find a buyer for this,"
he says, with a dismissive wave of his hand.
"The Awoken have no use for these trinkets. Of course, but perhaps someone in the Earth City will bite."
He clicks his mandibles.
"Disappointing. Disappointing.
The spider?
I hope very much that the ship's logs will be more edifying. You brought it to me, of course."
Yes, Spider.
Head bowed to his side, disappointment. Arha hands Spider a datapad. Spider scrolls through it, with 3 of his eyes closed. Only when he reaches the bottom do all of his eyes open.
"It says here that your Sloan believes an unknown party is stealing from Green Dove Arcology."
I'm stealing from New Pacific Arcology.
Arha says, with a trace of a pout. Spider ignores him.
"Arha, let Privy take over the web. You will discover for me the identity of this enterprising thief."
Yes, the spider.
I like this lore entry. Naturally, it was back from the time of Forsaken, and the Spider is a great character. I think thematically, we have gotten closer to the space in the run of expansions, where it feels like the final shape could be paradoxically on the same level as the Forsaken expansion. But the point can't be ignored. Whether we wanted it or not, we are staring at the future of destiny in the face. The most curious thing about this particular lore entry is that one of Spider's employees, shall we say, known as Arha, works as an infamous informant, weaving a network of webs together and collecting data or information that may become extremely valuable in the future. Arha has been snooping around the Drifter's Hall, but that's notably noted, but also that within this, Golden Age equipment were mentioned. Deep space scanners, detailed maps of arcologies, comets, space stations within the system, suggesting places or areas within and outside the Sol system that no one has heard of in Destiny. This is exciting, picturing worlds drifting out amongst the stars. To be thankful and marvel at the sheer impossibility of it all. We have existed in such a small speck of the universe, just as a player does within Destiny, an expansive world of mystery and stories, just waiting to be told. And the Hall and the Shard of the Traveler are the rhythm which shows the potential of what could be. Have a listen to this entry from the lorebook The Warlock Ornor, titled Message to Ornor. It says,
You compose an encrypted message to Ornor of the Praxic Order, along with a brief statement of solidarity. The message contains transcripts of your conversations with the Drifter, as well as data packages detailing Drifter's Gambit Prime and Reckoning operations. Your ghost has also provided specifications for the modified Gambit Bank you saw while aboard the Hall, and included engram prints of an ontological armor you forged at the Drifter's instruction. The Vanguard and the Hidden will want to know that Drifter's material resources are expanding in scope, from light and dark to the cold unknown of the impossible worlds he's found or created within the Hall. Ghost's spectral analysis confirms that it's unlike anything you've encountered in the Ascendant Plane, but the readings remind him of the Third Spire, the trial grounds of the beings known as the Nine. You don't know what the future brings, but you know you will meet it with a clean conscience.
Once again, we are reminded of the Hall, an engine of pure potential. And after all, isn't it that the Traveler chose humanity not just for its own protection, but due to their potential for good? Arnor in this lore entry is suggesting, via the power of the Hall, he was able, the Drifter, to get access to wielding dark, and also discovering other worlds that cannot be accessed without both a Guardian's light and the Hall. So, my thoughts are as follows. While it isn't certain or evidence fully conclusive whether the Shard of the Traveler and the Hall's origins are the same, their power has been used in conjunction with one another. Some flavor text states that the Hall contains a pocket of unknown space, similar to that of the Nine Realm or the Ascendant Plane. It is also suggested that the rock is made of some kind of icy material, maybe similar to the icy planet or moon the Drifter talks about visiting with his crew centuries ago, when they wandered further outside the Sol system. The Season of the Deep will conclude, dawning the beginning of Season 22, name to be confirmed. But we know that the revival of Savathûn will hinge upon it. And if my narrative threads are connected correctly, this would be the perfect time for the Witch Queen to mention the Nine, and all that the Drifter has learned from his time using and studying the Hall. This is what I believe to be the answer. The end is also the beginning. My earlier video on the Nine or Savathûn should help to fill in some blanks if you haven't been around much lately. Until next time, Guardians, you have the power to learn from the pain of the past and push forward in life with forgiveness. So keep on holding on to hope. Remember that no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, you can do all things. Stay safe and Godspeed.